Welcome everybody. In this tutorial, we will learn how to convert your multiple choice assessments into self-grading quizzes on Google Forms. And these assessments could be any assessment that you may have as a PDF, as a Google Slide, as a Google Doc, or PowerPoint, or even Microsoft Word document. And the very first thing you should always do is rename your form. You can then change the theme of your quiz by clicking on the Customize Theme icon you see here. And you can choose an image from the themes that are already here, or you can upload your own image that you may have or select from your photos. But I'm going to select one of the headers that is available. I'm going to insert it, and you will see that the background color will also change to the theme colors for this header. I'm going to change the background color, and I can also change the font style. So there's 4 different fonts that you can choose from. I'm going to choose the playful font style, and I'm also going to include some instructions for my students to be able to complete this quiz. I have instructed my students to read the following passage 2 or more times before answering the questions below. The informational text passage that I am going to convert into my quiz is on a PDF, and all I will need is my snipping tool to transfer both the passage and the questions over to the quiz. So in order to find my snipping tool, I can either click on the Windows Start button and scroll all the way down to the letter S till I find the snipping tool. It'll open. I'm going to click the New button up here on the upper left-hand corner. And this will allow me to be able to select the part of this PDF that I want to snip. Once I let go, it's going to bring it into my snipping tool, and I will be able to save it by clicking on the Save button at the top right corner of my screen here. I will save it on my desktop for easy access. And then I'm going to be able to go back to my comprehension quiz form and insert it as an image from the side menu here. So once I click on Add Image, I can upload my image from my desktop, and you will be able to see it here. I can add a title if I want to, or I can also left, center, or right align my image here. I'm going to center it. You can also change or remove it. And in the same manner, I'm going to bring in the first question. I will then make the answer choices just A, B, C, and D. I will make this question required for students to answer, and I will go into the answer key and select the points that this question is worth. In this case, it will be worth 1 point. And I will select the right answer or answers, because this question actually has 2 right answers, which are C and D. Once I am done selecting both answer choices, I'm going to click Done. and move on to the next question by clicking the Add Question button here on the side menu. And again, my options are going to be just A, B, C, and D. And if you notice, the neat thing about forms is that it'll recognize automatically that you're trying to add answer choices A, B, C, and D, and it'll suggest it. And if you click Add All, it'll automatically do it for you. So you don't have to finish doing all the answer choices. I'm going to require for the student to answer this question. Again, I'm going to add the points. The correct answer here is D, so I'm going to select D as the correct answer choice and click Done. Now, if I don't want to continue adding the A, B, C, and D, the points, I can easily save some time by duplicating this question. So it'll duplicate it exactly, but the only thing I need to change here is the image. I'm going to click on the three-dotted menu and click Remove. Once I remove it, then I'm going to take the snip for the third question. I'm going to save it once more on my desktop as question 3. And I'm going to insert that snip here. But as you can see, I'm going to save a little bit of time in that I won't have to type in the answer choices again or check off required. The only thing I have left is change the answer choice because it automatically copied the same answer choice from the previous question. So in this case, the answer for question 3 is letter B. So I need to go into the answer key and deselect D and choose B. And the points will remain the same, and I will click Done. Another way that I can bring in these multiple choice questions is by copying and pasting from your file the question and the answer choices. So the next question would be 4. If I wanted to, I could select the question. I could right-click and copy. I could then paste that question here for question 4. And for the answer choices, all I have to do is select answer choice A, B, C, and D and copy. And once I copy the answer choices into the first option, it'll then convert the rest of the answer choices into B, C, and D. So if I paste it, as you can see here, it automatically inserted answer choice A, B, C, and D. All I have to do is click Required, go into my answer key, select the points that is worth, and select the correct answer. In this case is letter C. And you are done. I will do the same for question 5 and question 6. The first question I like to add to any of my quizzes is the student's first name and last name as a short answer question. And I do make it required, but I do not give it any points. So once you create the first name question, you can then duplicate that and you can change the second question to last name. And this is just to better organize that spreadsheet that I am able to create once the students have submitted their quizzes. Now all there is left to do is to go to the settings gear and check on the settings under general presentation and quizzes. You definitely want to collect email addresses just to make sure that you are able to identify which students have already submitted their quiz. You can select to allow students to receive a response receipt, and this is offered to the student once they submit their quiz. They can request to get an email with a copy of their responses, or you can also choose to always send them a response receipt to their email, of course, if they use their emails. I usually don't use it, but that is an option that you can choose. You definitely want to leave the restrict to users so that only students who can open up the quiz. You definitely want to limit to one response so that students will only be able to do this quiz one time. And you can also check off if you want respondents to edit after they submit. So if you do check this off, students will be able to go back into the quiz and change answers after they've already submitted. And you can allow them to see summary charts and text responses. I usually do not allow for these two, but you can if you wish to. The next tab is the presentation settings tab. And I always like to show the progress bar for students in case that it is a lengthy quiz so that they can be aware of how much more they have left in their quiz until they finish. And you can also choose to shuffle the question order. It will automatically switch the order of the questions in each of the students' quiz. You can also choose to insert a confirmation message. So once a student submits their quiz, they will get this message. Or you can just leave it blank. And the third tab here for quiz settings is to release the grade immediately after each submission. So if you do select this option, it will immediately release the grade to the student. So the student will be able to automatically find out if they passed the quiz, or you can choose to release the grade later after manual review. And you would choose this option only if you have to manually review any of the question. But in this case, since they're all multiple choice, you can immediately release the grade after the student submits the quiz. You can also select if you want the students to see missed questions, if they can see the correct answers, and point values after they submit their quiz. So that is up to you, and once you are done, you can click Save. In the same way that I created the reading comprehension quiz, I had a math PDF that I wanted to convert into a self-grading quiz. And I took my snip tool and snipped parts of the PDF and added the answer choices just like I did with my reading comprehension quiz. But I also added some questions that were short answer. For example, in this question here, the students will have to count the value of the bills and the coins below, and they will have to type in the answer. So the way that you will insert this in the answer key, you will have to type in the acceptable answers the way you want students to type them in. And the answer here would be $21.71. So the student can type it in with a dollar sign, which should be the correct way, but if they're younger, they might not be able to type in the dollar sign, so they might just type in 21 with the decimal point 71. And I will check this box off so that all other answers that are not these two will be marked as incorrect. And I have inserted another type of question that has expanded notation. This comes very in handy so that you do not have to type in all these parentheses, digits, and plus signs in the answer choices. As you can see here, we have another short answer type of question where the student will have to type in the time shown on this clock. So in the answer key, I will type that the correct answer is 4:45. I will then check off the option to mark all other answers that are not 4:45 incorrect. Another way that you can provide this question is by, instead of choosing short answer, do a time question. And the way that students will answer the question is they will have to click on the clock icon here, and they will have to type in the time themselves. The only problem with this question is that you will have to manually grade it yourself. So that means that the answer will remain as incorrect until you manually go into the responses and choose whether the student got it correct or incorrect and give them the point for answering the question correct. Another advantage for being able to use the Snip tool and inserting images into questions on your quiz is that you can insert answer choices that are images. So if I wanted to continue adding different answer choices here with images, I can add another option. And for that option, I can click at the end of the option line to add an image. So then I could browse and I could bring in another answer choice as an image. The last thing I will insert into my quiz here is going to be a type of question that is going to be more of a file upload that students will have to use in order to upload their work. So at the beginning of the quiz, I had asked them in the instructions to work out or show their work on a separate sheet of paper that they will need to submit as an image or a picture at the end of the quiz. So the last question is going to be for them to upload an image of the work that they did. And on the question, I am going to type in the instructions for them to do so. I will only allow specific files to be uploaded. In this case, it will be an image, although you can select one or more of these types of files. I will only allow up to 5 images because maybe they use more than one sheet of paper to work out their problems. And I'm going to select the maximum file size to be 100 megabytes, which should be enough. And I'm going to make this required so that students must insert and upload their image in order to get credit for this question. I'm going to make this question 1 point. So if they submit their work, they will get 1 point for this question as well. And then I will click done. Again, you want to make sure that you go through the settings to make sure that you have selected the appropriate settings that you would like for this quiz. Because we do have the time question that needs to be manually reviewed, you will have to select the release grade later after manual review, and I will show you how to manually review those in a moment. And I'm going to save these settings. Once you are done reviewing the settings, the next thing you want to do is preview the quiz to make sure that you do not need to make any edits. So this is what students will see when they open up the quiz. They will have to type in their first name, their last name. They will then have to answer each of the questions. In this question, remember, they will have to insert the amount of money that they counted. They will need to continue going through each of these For the time question, they will have to enter the time, 7:45. Now we don't know if it's AM or PM, so either of these will work. And for the last question, they're going to have to add the file by clicking this button here. They're going to have to look for the file on their computer or on their device. And they will have to upload in order to submit. Once students start submitting this quiz, you will see at the top there is a tab for responses, and I can see there's one response already. So I'm going to click on that tab, and I can choose to see the summary of the students that have already responded to the questions. I can choose to see by question grouped by the students that got them correct or incorrect. I'm going to start with question 3, since that was really the first question, because the first 2 questions were for first and last name. And on question 3, I can see that the student got it wrong, the one that has already responded. I can see that they got the money question correct. But when I get to the time question, I can see that they responded 4:45 p.m. and I'm going to choose to manually give them this question correctly by clicking this green check mark. You can see that 1 point out of 1 point has been given for this question for this student. I'm going to save this change and I'm going to continue checking. And then the last question is where they submitted their image of their work. If they submitted it, then I'm going to click the green check mark to give them 1 point for this question as well. So this is how you manually check student questions that are not auto-graded. If I wanted to check the student quizzes by individual, I could drop down this menu and see the students that have already submitted their answers. I could then click on a student and go through their quiz, and I can see which ones they got wrong, and I can also manually grade those questions, like the time question, and I can give the student 1 point for answering correct, and also for turning in their work, I can give them 1 point for submitting the image of the work that they did. I will then click save, and once the quiz is saved, I will then release the score back to the student, which will send them an email to let them know that their quiz has been graded and to give them their grade.